Oh mate, hi, it's Cookin. Here we have some pants from Australia. And obviously my accent is not doing shit for this. This is nothing a progressive death metal act, indeed, from the Down Under. And here it is with their second album. Now, there are many bands coming with the name Nothing. Not just with metal bands, but beyond. If you take a look at Rate Your Music. So in case you will find it a little bit confusing what you're looking for, at least on Metal Archives, go for the Australian Nothing and you will get the right band. So here we have their self-financed album. This is three guys doing music, nice looking digipack with some kind of a, I don't know, rotten or melting head here. This is very, very simplistic, I guess, in a way, fair to say, budget digipack because there is no real booklet, no lyrics either, just a pentagram, three guys, and the very basic recording information. And it seems this is a CDR, if I'm looking this correctly, which explains why my CD player had a couple of times a little bit hiccups making the music to be played. So here on Metal Archive site, few nothings, and this is the second newest one with the same name. So quite a few older bands, but also this band has been there for 20 years now, starting in 2005 in Melbourne. And as you can see, this is a interesting history because what started was with an EP. Well, I guess it's very comparable to demo era with lots of bands. Always, I say, start with demos before entering full albums. But quite soon, they went to release this 2009 debut album, The Torture of the Nameless, which I haven't heard, by the way, so I'm not going to compare this to previous works. And then self-titled EP. Why I'm mentioning this is quite a big of a gap, 9 years from the previous EP to this particular second album, the Self Repair Manifesto. And this runs for about 33 minutes, if I carry through, something like that. And is including 7 tracks. None of them are outright really long, but it's actually better for this kind of music. Because, as you probably know, a lot of progressive bands tend to have this habit. So, since we're talented musicians and we have lots of progressive ideas, let's just go for those 12-minute tracks, and that's by the time the audience is sleeping. Except for those two marginal guys who are like, take my money and all. Now, these guys know how to keep it real, meaning they will have some kind of a progressive, sometimes rather out of the boundaries kind of riffing and ideas which are a little bit like, what the hell is going on here? But most of the time they do focus on making it death metal sounding like death metal. Meaning lots of traditional death metal riffing and growly vocals. But there are parts where it just kind of almost seeps into the world of deathcore. I kid you not. Maybe just one song, but those are already scary enough if you start with them to give you a little bit of a wrong idea what this band is going for. But maybe it's also showing what this band is capable of. Who knows? Because of independent release, maybe that explains a little bit of this production, which is quite good, but something is giving me the feeling it's a little bit unpolished. Sorry, don't get me wrong. My point here is, it sounds quite strong, but there's like this overall feeling which is like something isn't really that great with the mixing and mastering. Well, maybe not so much mastering, but the point here is it's a little bit soft and could be really heavy or more impact without really going for these ultra produced albums which are so common these days with the more modern take of death metals. And that's exactly what this is, because obviously this has very, very little to do with the old school death metal. So those who are looking for the kind of a dose of 80s or 90s kind of a death metal are probably gonna stay away from this. This is more for the audience that is looking for the next step, the next new waves of death metal. And for such audience, I think this is pretty solid of a work. The growly vocals are good, but sometimes those double vocals, which are not luckily too many, are more like a nice gimmick, but please don't do them too much, because otherwise it will just sound like a gimmick thing to do. As a seasoning, it works. As an effect of things, like, hey, we want to do something different here, sure. But enough is enough. My point here is there are lots of nice ideas, but sometimes the execution is not right there. It's like a little bit missing the mark instead of going for a full bullseye. But like I said, overall, these guys have quite nice ideas, and there's a certain level of grooviness, which I guess explains why on the Metal Archive side, this is more labeled as a progressive death thrash act. Now, looking for the thrasher elements with this album, I don't know. I don't really get that thrasher feeling. Sure, some groove metal parts or these deathcore parts are giving a little bit of off the grid when it comes to traditional or even progressive death metal. But overall, I would say these guys know where the ball is. Sometimes it just feels like too much focusing and tackling rather than making goals, if you get my sports metaphor here. But overall, pretty nice of an album, and definitely for the audience who are looking for something more progressive, something out of the rather traditional and old school ways in terms of death metal. If you think you're part of it, go for it. Links are included in the description box, so start listening and decide for yourself. Album has been out since March 26th, or 25th, I'm not sure what was the official release date, because I somehow think it was different than this, but either way, roughly around the same day this video comes out. If it's going to be a day later, well, just wait for it and you will get to hear the full album, I think, on streaming services. At least Bandcamp should have more or less the whole music. No, give it a go and off you go to enjoy.